Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Amma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran in Suratul A'raf, وَقَالُوا الْحَمْدُ لِلَّهِ الَّذِي هَدَانَا لِهَذَا وَمَا كُنَّا لِنَهْتَدِيَ لَوْلَا أَنْ هَدَانَ اللَّهُ. This is an extract from the entire ayah, which means all the praises and thanks be to Allah who has guided us to this. Never could we have found guidance were it not that Allah had guided us. The ayah that the ayah talks about when the people of Jannah will enter Jannah. May Allah make us among those. They will say that all praise and thanks be to Allah who has guided us. So it is Allah who guides, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if He has given us guidance, if He has given us the tawfiq, then we should not be boastful about that, and we should not be arrogant about that, and keep on asking for guidance until we die. So praise be to Allah who allowed us to attend this class and to benefit, who allowed us to learn the language of the Quran. May Allah make us among those who enter Jannah and say this ayah after entering Jannah. Ameen. Let's do a quick recap of what we had in our previous class. And while we recap, I'll erase this. Can anyone volunteer to do a brief review of what we covered last class? Just want to make sure that we understand that. Jazakallah khair.
So we talked about love, the letters that Haika equals to love. We also talked about the Fatha, Satra, Jalla,
Mm-hmm.
and we talked about Hamza being part of the Arabic grammar last that.
Jazakallah khair.
And finally, we talked about in words there are two categories, which are one which is meaningful words and one which are meaningless words. Meaningful words are called kalima and meaningless words are called love. And then there are three types of parts of speech: ism, fail, and full.
Harf. Jazakallah khair. So you deserve a chocolate. You can get it from here. So from next time, inshallah, I would suggest that try to say it without looking in the book, because it's not that difficult. So if you try to memorize what we have learned, it will become a lot easier. Let's start with today's class. And we were talking about meaningful words and meaningless words, right? And the formula that we saw last time was huruf, letters, plus harakat equals to a love, right? This is what we saw last time. Now this love, as we said, can be meaningful or meaningless. So let's try to write like this. Meaningful and meaningless. Regarding meaningless words, there are no meaningless words in the Quran. So we said that we won't go into that. I was trying to look for some in the English language and I came across some of them. Coochie coo or tipsy topsy, dingly dangly. These are kind of the English words which doesn't really have a meaning, but they are used to serve a purpose. Like they say that Kuchiku is used for babies. When some baby looks cute and you try to play with the baby, you say, ah, Kuchiku, you're looking so cute. So that is how. So just wanted to give an example from the English language. We have that in Urdu as well. So our main focus will be meaningful words. Meaningful words, as we said, a meaningful word, what is it called? Does anyone remember? Kalima, right. So meaningful word is called a kalima. Okay, in Arabic. Meaningful words are called a kalima. Okay, so after that we saw in any language, what the people of language, the scholars of language, what they do is they group different words into categories. So we said that in English there are 8 parts of speech, and those parts of speech are noun, pronoun, adverb, adjective, conjunction, preposition, and interjection. 8 of them. And in Urdu, in Arabic, and even in Farsi, there are just 3. So what are they? Ism, fi'l, and harf. Okay. So let's start with ism. Ism, fi'l, and harf. Uh, did we look into the definitions, like very brief? Okay, so let's go into the definitions first before we go to looking on what ism is all about. So ism, fi'al, and harf. So this is like, you can sort of like draw this diagram so you know. Okay, so kalima can either be ism, fi'l, or harf. What is an ism? What is an ism? Anyone has any idea? Name, right, name. In fact, in Urdu we say, आपका isme grami kya hai? What is your good name? Something like that. So ism means name. Name of a person, a place, or anything. Anything, uh, uh, I think the technical definition in English will be name of any person or place or a thing, right? That's what we have. So that's an ism. And also we said that those 8 parts of speech in English, they sort of like fit over here somewhere. Of ism. What about fi'l? Does anyone know what a fi'l is? Verb, right. Verb is a very doesn't seem to be a very good definition. In Arabic, fi'l is something that is related to time. You can understand it that way. It is related to time. It's an action that has to do something with time. Okay, so that is a fi'l. That is a fi'l. It has to do something with time. What is a harf? Harf, by its own, it doesn't make any sense. Even though harf is still a kalima, it has a meaning of its own. Harf has a meaning of its own. Let's take some examples in English. Let's start with some name. What is this? Hamid. Hamid, it's a name of a person. Okay, it's a name of a person. So it's an ism. Madrasa, it's school. Okay, it's a school. So it's also an ism, right? What about what is this? This is a qalam. So what is a qalam? It is an ism, right? So these are all asma, plural of ism. What about fi'l? What about fi'l? So as we said, it has to do something with time, right? So first let us try to understand in English, and then we can look into Arabic. So in English, this will be like Hamid, school, pen. Okay, and if I were to write I or you, are these ism as well? What are they called in English? They are called pronouns, right? So in Arabic, pronouns and nouns both fall in as are considered as ism. What about as we took the example of tall or maybe smart? These are ism as well, right? Fi'l, fi'l, as we said, it has to do something with time. It has to do, it should have a connection with time. So if we say that um, helping, is it a verb in English? Let's see in English, is it a verb? Helping is a verb. So uh, if I were to say I helped or I was helping, so you can say that, you can see that it is used, it is a verb which is used in different scenarios to show its connection with time. I helped in the past, I was helping, I am helping right now, or I will help, which means I will help in the future. But there is a very important thing to understand here, which kind of becomes tricky, but inshallah ta'ala we'll look into it. Under asma, the name of action, as we said, helping, or let's say the action of helping, or to help. Okay, the action of seeing or to see. So these may be considered as verbs in the English language, but they fall under ism because it's the name of an action. It's the name of an action. In English, if you were to look up what an infinitive is, it's called an infinitive. So probably after this class, you can Google what an infinitive is. Infinitive, then you will see that there's something very similar in the English language as well. So it is the name of an action. If these words were to be there just without being used in the sentence, then it does not show any connection with time. If we were to say helping or seeing or praying or eating something without using it in the sentence, it does not relate to time. So that is why it falls under ism. Okay, so the main difference between ism and fi'l is something that is connected to time. It shows that an event either is happening now or has happened in the past or will happen in the future. Inshallah, it will get clear when we see examples in Arabic, but this is kind of the difference between a name of action. Okay, a name of action is an ism, right? We will go into a detailed discussion when we go into see what a fi'l is, but for now we are starting with ism. So first we'll see what are the different asma and what are the different rules relating to the asma. We will see fi'l later on in the class, inshallah, but this is just a very bird's eye view thing. Okay, what about harf? In English, let's say we use on or at or above. Okay, what are these words called? They are called prepositions. So there are prepositions, there are conjunctions, there are interjections. So all of those three are very related to harf. Okay, but these words, first of all, are they meaningful or meaningless?
Meaningful.
meaningful. Okay, but they do have a meaning of their own, but it doesn't make sense when you say it like independently, on or at. Even if a person says like on 100 times, doesn't make sense. What we will say like, okay, on, but what is something like, where do you use it, right? So if you were to say on the chair, okay, or at the school, or maybe above the roof, or above the sky, or something like that, then it makes sense. So it makes sense when you use it with ism, okay, then it makes sense. Or you can also use it with a fi'l. Okay. We said that harf, they can be used with an ism, or they can be used with a fi'l, right? So that is how, what, so we'll learn ism first, and then after completing ism we'll start with fi'l, and while we learn ism and fi'l we'll learn harf with it. Okay, so inshallah this will be the approach. Until now, are there any questions? Is it becoming a little bit difficult or interesting, or interesting, difficult? Okay.
I had a small question. Just wanted to know the main difference between Islam and prayer. Like you gave examples there, but I just kind of got lost.
Okay, so as I said, if you have a sentence and you want to identify what is an ism or fi'l, first of all, there are points to do that. If you study, like after this course, this is like a prerequisite course for studying different books. So if you were to go into different grammar books like Al Ajrumiya, so they will say, how do you identify an ism or fi'l in the sentence? We look all of that, but at this point it is important to understand that the basic difference between ism and fi'l is its connection with time. Okay, its connection with time. If I were to like write a sentence, if I were to say I sat, or maybe I ate, so in this sentence, does it point towards an action that has a connection with time? No?
Yes.
Yes? How? Fast, right? Fast. So very simple. Uh, let's say if I were to say about someone, or maybe so I started with I, so I'll use I again. I am smart, or I am maybe tall, or whatever. So in this sentence, is there any connection with time? No, because it is just describing the noun or pronoun. This word is describing it, but it doesn't say that it has to do anything with an event or action, right? So that is the difference. Does it make sense? Inshallah, after the class you can look into in what an infinitive is, because the only point I think at this point the only thing that kind of gets kind of confuses us would be to understand how, which looks like a verb in English, you are saying that to see, or to help, or to pray, or to eat something. So these look like verbs in English, but we are saying that they are under ism. So as I said, look at what an infinitive is, and inshallah it will try to make more sense. Let's start with ism. Ism. We are studying ism. A very important point over here: to use ism in any phrase or sentence, you will have to know four things about the ism. Four things about the ism in order for you to use it properly in a sentence or a phrase. You will have to know four things. Okay, what are these four things? We'll see that inshallah ta'ala. First thing is jins, okay, or gender, jins or gender. Okay, this gender can either be, I'll write it in Arabic, and I recommend that you learn it in Arabic, not English. Gender, we know in English we say masculine, feminine, right? But in Arabic it is muzakkar, muannath, muzakkar and muannas. So muzakkar or muannas. Anything, anything. Let's say qalam. Let's say a pen. Okay, a pen in English. Now the weak point about English language is things, non-living things don't have a gender in English, but they do in Arabic and even in Urdu. And for Urdu speaking people, you say it every day, but we don't realize it. I will give an example. Let's say your car broke down, right? So what would you say in Urdu? You will say मेरी गाड़ी खराब हो गई. Okay, you will say हो गई. Why don't you say मेरी गाड़ी खराब हो गया? So in Urdu you have a gender for, now if someone who does not speak Urdu were to come from some other place and he would start saying मेरी गाड़ी खराब हो गया, and how does that sound to us? Very strange. And then you understand that this person does not know, even though we never learned it or we never realize it, but that's how it is. And that's what we want to learn in Arabic. So if you were to, let's say, speak Arabic with someone and you will say something like these in Arabic, so it would sound very strange to them. Why? Because it is how it is. Okay. But as I said, we don't have, I think in kind of a different sense, they still use it though. Like they say for the car, she's very beautiful or something like that. So they still try to use it, but not in the formal language, right? So they try to give a gender for a car, or maybe uh, uh, a boat, yeah, a boat, or maybe like a cat or a dog. Even I mean, in Arabic we have genders for everything, even non-living thing. So a qalam or a kursi has a gender. Okay, uh, kursi. Let's see kursi. Okay, this is a kursi. So in Urdu, for kursi, is it muzakkar or muannath? Do we use it? कुर्सी टूट गई या कुर्सी टूट गया? टूट गई. So it is muannath. But in Arabic it is muzakkar. A kursi is something muzakkar. And let's say another example of a, do you know what this is? Sky, sama. In Urdu, sama or sky, is it muzakkar or muannas? आसमान नीला है या नीली है? Muzakkar. But in Arabic it is muannas. So there are subtle differences. Inshallah, we will learn step by step of how to identify those differences. So we said that in order to use an ism, any ism, if it's an ism, you must know these four things. Okay. So first was jins. Second is Adad. It's, you can say, number or quantity. Regarding jins, it's very interesting that in Arabic, even the colors have genders. So we say Hajr Aswad, right? Because it's a mudhakkar. Al-Hijrul Aswad is mudhakkar. If you were to use the same word, Aswad, okay, black, in within a muannas, something muannas, as-sayyaratul uh, bayda'u, okay, sorry, sauda'u, bayda'u is white. So if you were, akal in Arabic is muannas, right? Sayyara is something muannas. So if you were to describe akal, you will say as-sayyaratu sauda'u. You will use the muannas or feminine word for the color because it's describing a muannas thing, right? But for a mudhakkar thing, you will use a mudhakkar word for color. So even colors have genders. Aswad sauda'u, and abyad bayda'u for white and for black and white. Okay. So the second thing to know about an ism is adad, number or quantity, and this can be, and this is also an interesting thing. In Urdu and English, we have just two of them, singular and plural, right? Singular and plural. So let's say for car, what is the plural for more than one car? We say cars, right? And for boy, the plural would be boys. And for pen, the plural would be pens. Okay, so we have that singular and plural. Even in Urdu, we just add let's say gadi, we have gadiyan, right? So we have just two of them. In Arabic, the interesting thing is we have three. We have for wahid, musanna, and jama'. Wahid, musanna, and jama'. Wahid is for singular, one, something which is one in quantity. Musanna is two. Okay, so we have a special new addition that is just for two things. Okay, and the third is jama', which is something which is more than two. Something for jama', you can understand this something which is more than two, three or more than three. Okay, wahid, musanna, jama'. So the second thing to know about an ism, the first thing was jins, the second was adad, the third thing wus'at, and the, can say it as capacity. We'll go through it inshallah ta'ala. At this point, you can understand this something like, and first let me write it down. Ma'rifa and nakira. Ma'rifa and nakira. Have you heard about this? Anyone? Does anyone know? What is it? What is ma'rifa? What is nakira? Don't remember. You won't get a chocolate. So ma'rifa and nakira, at this point you can understand this as definite and indefinite. In English, let's say we are talking about something, and let's say we are talking about the story of a boy who lives in maybe Plano. Okay, so when we talk about, when we mention this boy for the first time, we say that there was a boy, and he was, and when we use it for the second time in the same story, we use the. So we know what that specific, who that specific boy is, right? So that is very similar, that concept, indefinite or definite, to Ma'rifa and Nakira. Inshallah, we'll go into more details, and when we'll see that how it's related to the English language, how we use it in English and how we can use it in English. Okay, so don't worry if it doesn't make sense.
Marifa
Inshallah,
is definite and then
Nakira
Nakira
is, yeah. So we the point of using the word wusat means the Nakira is wasiya. It means it's very broad in scope. Marifa is something definite or something less in scope. Okay.
So if you add al-Quran, so it makes it
Yeah,
Marifa.
that it makes it marifa. That is one of the points. When we come into that, we look into what are the different scenarios. Okay, so jins, adad, wusat, and the fourth is, this is a very interesting one. I'rab. The fourth is i'rab, and we just have about 15-16 minutes. Inshallah, we'll try to cover what i'rab is, and I won't write anything here, just for a simple translation, can call it a status. Okay. Until now, we saw that in order for you to use an ism in a sentence and to make a meaningful sentence out of it, you should know four things about that ism in the Arabic language. What are those four things? Jins, adad, wus'at, and i'rab. So jins will be either mudhakkar or muannath. Okay, there is no third. Adad would either be wahid, muthanna, jama'. Wus'at will either be ma'rifa or nakira. I'rab. What is i'rab? We'll look into it in a few minutes from now. I'rab. It is the most interesting thing in the language. In fact, if you look at the word i'rab itself, Arabi and i'rab, right? So Arabi is all about i'rab. If you understand i'rab, you have understood the language. So let's look at what i'rab is. Uh, we'll try to understand some things in English, and then we look into the definition, because examples make it more clear to understand, right? So Zaid is again here. It was Hamid, but we can modify it, no problem. Okay. Zaid helped Hamad, right? Zaid helped Hamad. This is what does it mean? Who is Zaid here? Who is Zaid? What is he doing?
It's
It's an, yeah, Zaid is an ism, but what is Zaid doing? Helping, the action of helping. So Zaid is helping Hamad. Zaid is the subject, okay, the doer of the action, and Hamad is the object or someone who is receiving the action, right? So in English, in English it's called subjective case, objective case. If you want, you can look it up, but that's not really necessary. The main thing to understand here is, in a verb, there is someone who does the action, and there's someone who receives the action, right? So Zaid helped Hamad. Let me write another sentence. What happened now? What did now? Let's try to think. What did we do in the sentence that changed the meaning?
We change the subject and the subject and
We changed the position of the noun.
Yeah.
Okay, so we had Hamad Zaid over here, Hamad over here. When we changed the position in the sentence, it changed the meaning, right? So you can have some water. That's all right. So that's how it's in the English language, right? In Urdu, in Urdu, if someone were to translate this sentence in Urdu, okay, what would that be? Can Zaid ने हम्माद की मदद की. Let me write it down over here. Okay, sorry for my bad handwriting. So Zaid ने हम्माद की मदद की. And what about this? हम्माद ने Zaid की मदद की. So so in Urdu, what happened? It is very similar to English, right? So if you were to change the position, it makes a change in the meaning. That's what's important to understand. Let's look at another example, the last one. Zaid helped Hammad's brother. Now, who is the doer of the action over here? Again, Zaid. And who is the receiver of the action or the object? Hammad's brother, not Hammad himself, right? So, in these three cases, and in Urdu, that would be Zaid ne. Okay. So, in these three sentences, if you look at the Asma, if you look at Zaid and Hammad, did the spelling of Zaid or Hammad change in these three sentences? No. Did the meaning of Zaid and Hammad changed in these three sentences? No. What changed? The position changed, and the change in position caused the meaning to change, right? Caused the meaning to change. So now we saw these sentences in English, we saw these sentences in Urdu. Now let's write those sentences in Arabic. Inshallah, you will find this very interesting. We use another. What is this? Nasara. Okay. Nasara Zaidun hamadan. Nasara hamadun zaidan. Nasara zaidun akha hamadin. Now what happened? Does it kind of give you an idea of what the i'rab is? Nasara zaidun hamadan. Nasara hamadun zaidan. Dun, dan, and din. Nasara zaidun akha hamadin. In English and in Urdu, the spelling did not change, okay, and the meaning did not change. In Arabic, you could say there's a change in spelling, or maybe not, if depending on what you understand as spelling is. But the important thing is the meaning. Did the meaning of Zaid and Hamad change anywhere in these three sentences? No. Then what changed? The haraka changed. The haraka changed, and that the haraka changed and the i'rab changed, right? The i'rab changed. So what is the definition of i'rab? What is the definition of i'rab? Now these three sentences give us a sense that i'rab is the change in harakat, right? I'rab is the change in harakat, but it's something more to it. I'rab is not just change in zabar, zair, pesh, or fatha, kasra, dhamma. It's not just change in that. It's something more to it. So yeah. And to understand i'rab, just understand it as change in the status of ism. The status, the state, or the position, you can use these words to translate i'rab. Change in the status of ism without change in the meaning of ism. Without change in the meaning of ism. Change in the status of ism without change in its meaning is called i'rab. It's something probably you should write it down. The harakat, okay, the harakat give you the sense. The harakat give you the sense of who is the doer of action and upon whom the action was done, right? So in order to like relate it to the English language, as I said, there's something called cases in English, and it's like a subjective case, objective case, and possessive case. Okay, so that is how it relates it to English. But for now, the definition of i'rab is change in the status of ism without change in the meaning of ism. It's not just change in the harakat. It's not just change in the harakat. And when we will study adad or quantity, we will see how it's not just change in the harakat. Because you could have an ism which is which does not exhibit any change in these three statuses. Okay, so let's give the name first. So in Arab, everybody good with this? You can see that in English and in Urdu. In English, we use the sequence in order to give that meaning of who is the doer of action and who upon whom the action was done. And in Urdu, we used these words: ne, ki, ne, ki, right? But there is no ne and ki in Arabic, and even the sequence does not really matter. If I were to like flip these, okay, if I were to say Nasara, Zaidan, Hamidun, the sequence does not really matter. What matters is the Arab, because that changes the entire meaning of the sentence. Okay, so in English the sequence matters, in Urdu the sequence matters as well as the words that are used with that. In Arabic the sequence does not matter, what matters is the Arab. So Arabic is a very comprehensive language in which just change in the harakat will change the entire meaning of the sentence. That's what we learn. So there are three categories of Arab, and they are Raf, Nasb and Jar. Rafa, Nasb, forgot the noon, and Jar. And we'll look into it bit by bit. I hope it does. The names don't scare you away. Rafa, Zaidun over here is in Rafa. Okay, it's in Rafa, which means that it has these two dhammas, dhammatain, and we call it tanween, right? We call it tanween. So dhammatain, fathatain, kasratain, okay, which means two dhammas, two fathas, and two kasras, and they are called tanween. Tanween, okay. Tanween is nothing but if you analyze the sound, it is the sound of noon sakin. It is the sound of noon sakin. So if there is a noon and it has a sukun on it, so if you were to mix it with something like maybe say man, so you get this sound of noon sakin. Okay, this is the same as now in pronunciation it will be the same, something like this, right? This and these two are same. Rafa, Nasb and Jar. These are the three different Arab. Over here Zaid is in Rafa, over here Zaid is in Nasb, and over here Hamad is in Jar. Okay, here Hamad is in Raf and Zaidan is Nasb, and here this is Rafa and this is Jar. So we will look into all of these when we study fi'l, because this is all fi'l, right? But just at this point, to understand what I'rab is, we wrote all these down to understand what I'rab is. So can you say the definition of I'rab?
So its status and how the ism changes in relation to another ism.
Change in the status of ism without change in its meaning. Okay. So any questions from here? Okay.
In the last sentence, Nasara Zaidun Akha Hamadin. So Akha is the nasab in that sentence?
No, so this is mudaf and mudaf ilayh, because this is Akha Hamadin is Hamad's brother, right? So it is this state, this entire thing is nasb, okay, because this is the receiver of action, mudaf and mudaf ilayh together. So this entire thing for your question,
So it's the
yes, this
Rafa,
is nasib.
so the Rafa, Nasab, and Jarda related to the Harkat, or
So one of the ways, out there are many ways, but one of the ways in which you show that there is a change in status is through harakat. Okay. Uh, any more questions?
just to like summarize, Rafa is done, and Nasab is I mean, so Rafa is done, Nasab is done, and then Jar is done.
Mhm. There is more to it. There could be something which is there are no harakat, but still it is rafa, nasb, and jar. Inshallah.
The different strategies of, so you said these three are the strategies of this. There are also other strategies of the word,
Mm.
and
Yeah, a verb has i'rab and it also has bina, but that is something advanced. You don't need to know at this point. Inshallah, when we'll go to fi'l and understand what fi'l is, inshallah we'll see. Jazakumullahu khairan. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.